Well, the northern bubble, gentlemen, Peter, you first. Would you say that those in the north, in the northern powerhouse, could be considered stroppy northerners, only worried about the north? Surely having the northern powerhouse better connected and integrated into a national logistics strategy, why don't governments see that? And are the northerners seen as stroppy people fighting for something that they may not get?
No, I don't think so. I think that, I mean, I always look at, you know, because I'm fortunate enough, as most people are, to have a house in London, which I bought 40 years ago. I look at the prices of houses and what's happened in London, and if you're an inward investor from abroad looking at investing in the UK, why would you invest in London anymore? You know, you don't get much for your buck. You go to Liverpool, you can get fantastic value for your money. So, you know, the opportunity is there. The opportunity, because we've got massive land, we've got massive, as you said, great industry.
The real problem, it's not northern. It is Manchester, a bigger Manchester than it was before. It's an important development in local authorities, and I welcome that. But they look to social expenditure, etc. But they can only do it in the boundaries we have of the local government. When we did RDAs, we made them regional, and they could work in each other's areas. So it's not northern in its true sense that goes over from Liverpool right over to the Newcastle. It stops on the Pennines. And if it continues that way, it'll be the War of the Ruddy Roses again. You know, that nothing's on one side, it's all on the other side. They don't have the powers to do this planning anyway. Now, I think the bodies you talked about, Transport for the North, have to look at these strategic ones and make it clear, and government's got to do it. Though I think the government have real problems talking about regions. They've always been against them. They want to be like big cities and leave it to big cities. And even if you make the big cities of the north, it doesn't make it fully northern. But we're not on that. It stops on the Pennines. And that's the big arguments now. These regional requires commitments, resources, etc. of a regional kind, like we had and what we were developing. And take that as a political view, but if you leave it just to local authorities, they're authorities only in their boundary areas. It doesn't propose to go any further, not entitled to go any further.
And it's interesting, you're right, because the Transport for the North have only just invited onto the board Cumbria, Cheshire, we were not on the board, and Lancashire.
And all.
Yeah, see, we weren't on the Transport for the North.
That's nonsense, isn't it?
Well, but that's the thinking. So suddenly, somebody's woke up and said, well, hang on a minute, if we're going to have electricity, we're going to have to go to Cumbria, because that's where it's going to come from.
I know, but if you look at the One North, I think it was called, you can see what the thinking is behind the government at the moment. They have been to cities in Europe and have seen this kind of triangle. The three big cities in what they call the Golden Triangle, whatever it might be. And they say, right, that's the big market, we'll concentrate on that. The rest is feeding it rather than being part of it in a connectivity way. That's what exactly they're now proposing to do. You can see it. And it then goes Manchester, Liverpool, it does stretch over to Newcastle, and they're being forced to mention Hull, but they're not partly in it. You'll be consulted. And it's those big cities. And when they were over in China, talking to Richard Lisa a couple of weeks ago, was over there with China, they're telling them, if you look at this China, this triangle in the north, you're as many as a population as in London, which has got the powers and resources to act in a region that size. And that's the way they're moving. But I mean, the places outside that are not considered to be part of it. On transport, the critical thing has to be connectivity.